testimony on They Overcame By. Well, it's still a little touching for me. I know I have to go deep down inside my soul to really pull up and be able to speak about things that I've gone through and still going through for the glory of God. If you see, looks sometimes can be a blessing and a curse. It all started out when I was 14 years old and got into a real serious relationship. And at the time, 14, I dated my husband for 5 years, and then we got married. And going into that marriage and never realizing that I was going to be held captive, not a literal captive, but really being controlled, manipulated. I thought that it was sheltered to the point to where I was not able to get dressed to go to work. I worked in a plant. Not able to do my hair, not even able to wear makeup, let alone put on any type of perfume or anything that was going to make any attention be drawn to me. And so I had to wear uniforms every day, 5 days out of the week, and if I'd done overtime, even on the weekends. And so that would put me into a mindset of not really knowing who I was, not allowing the true beauty, the natural beauty, to really be shown in the world. And so I began to grow, and as I grew up in myself, I started to get tired of it. And I said, I have to get out of this. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, I didn't know what to do. And so I began to speak to some people at my job and on my job, and older people seeking wisdom. And they began to say they never, ever, ever encouraged divorce. They just said, begin to start doing some soul searching and find out who you are and what you really want in life. And at that point, I had no idea what that even meant. I was 19 years old, 20 years old, still almost a baby. And so one night I said, this is the night. This is the night that I'm going to go home and I was working midnights, and so I made it home that morning, and I called a couple of my family members, just with the mind of he may kill me just leaving the way, abruptly leaving, not giving him any reason, not giving him any chance to really know what my issue was or what problems were there to even be corrected or communicate through it. And so I got my bags and I went on with my life. And that's when a spiral came, I thought, for the better, but it was for purpose. I began to hang out 5-6 days a week, sometimes 2-3 times even a day. When I got out of work, I would tell my sister, here's the money, go get me a dime bag. Some of you may know what a dime bag is. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's weed, it's marijuana. And that was my medication every day, leaving out of work, having a stressful day. And I just thought that that was my medicine, that was my cure, that was going to be what took all of that pain out. And so I did that for 1.5 years straight. And so sometimes it got to the point to where I'm like, okay, you have the weed, now go get me a drink. I mean, honestly, go get me a drink. Because that at one point became where it wasn't sufficing. It wasn't everything that I felt. The void wasn't being filled. And so we would go out to the clubs, and I was a type of woman where I never waited on a man to come approach me. It was always myself. It was always me. Like if I seen something, I was going to get it. And that could be good and bad also. You could be a go-getter for the wrong reason. And so I began to do things that I never imagined in my life, to the point of one-night stands. I recall one moment I was in Detroit, and that's where I'm from, born and raised, Pontiac, Michigan. And a gentleman seen me in the club, and he was so comfortable that he began to take off every piece of jewelry he had. He emptied his pockets out. I mean, money, all type of money. And before the end of the night, he was so drunk that he was not even able to comprehend anything going on. And so what was on the surface of me hanging out, enjoying my life, being wild, being loose, there was still a caring so inside of me. And so what I did was I told my sister, I said, get home safe. I'm taking this man home to my house. I didn't know his name. And what it ended up being was a one-night stand. And I'm going to be completely transparent. I said, if I got this man to a safe place, I went in his pockets and I took some money. I said that was my reward for making sure he made it to a safe place and nobody killing him and taking what he had. And so it started there. Then it came to the point to where I could see where the attention was just coming left and right, left and right. If men weren't coming to talk to me, I was going to them. To the point to where I even had sex in a club before. And even though it may have felt good at that time, the feeling afterwards was not worth even looking back and feeling it now. I can only imagine what the man felt truly about me. But I still knew that it was all in his plan and his purpose. To the point to where when I started to calm down, I was invited to church by one of my cousins, not having a clue where that was going to lead me. I'm just like, okay, Lord, at this time, I needed a change in my life. I needed something that was going to change me from the inside out. Not only filling the voids, not filling the natural or the surfacey things, but I needed something to go deeper inside. And so I began to sit under the Word of God, sit under an anointed man of God, and where truth and clarity was truly coming through in love. Love was the biggest thing. And so I began to realize who I was, and not the looks, not what I wore, not how I looked outside, but on the inside, my heart. Who was I truly? And so I was having issues, so I went to a doctor. And they're like, well, do you have anything going on? And I'm like, well, I take some medication for not high blood pressure, diabetic from having a baby. And they took tests, they ran tests, and 2 days went by, and they said, Esmeralda, we need you to come in the office. And at that moment, I knew something was wrong, because they only call you in when they have some news to tell you that they can't tell you over the phone. And so I went into the office all by myself, and the news that they gave me was life-changing, another life-changing encounter. And they diagnosed me with type 2 genital herpes, and they said that it was incurable. And at that moment, I thought that my life was over. A woman that had been faithful for 9 years to one man and decided to go on a rage, to have sex with whoever, whenever, however, I don't even care where we were at, to now coming to this point of, this could destroy the rest of my life. How would a man ever love a woman that has something that's incurable? But I have to tell you that there is a healer. And that man that I fell in love with was my answer to everything that I had been looking for up to that point. And I left that doctor's office like, what am I to do? I began to tell people, and all they would say was, who was the last person you slept with? And my answer was, I don't even know. I still to this day have no idea where it came from, and that's not even a concern, that's not even relevant. But I began to build this relationship with Jesus Christ. And as I began to build the relationship, and I learned about faith, and learning about walking in your true victory and your true healing, there was a healing and deliverance service that came to the church where I was attending, and I had become a member. And they had talked about the man of God and how he just walked in healing. And so I said, okay, Lord, if I can just get to him. I was now at the point where the woman with the issue of blood in the Bible was. If I could just but touch the hem of his garment, then I know that my life would be changed forevermore. And so I stood in line, and I waited and I waited and I waited. And everybody in front of me was able to go to the man of God. And the Lord sent me off to the side to his wife. And